Happy Friday, everybody. This is Kelly Chavers with Coldwell Banker, Hartung and Noblin here in Tallahassee, Florida. Wanted to go over something, part of a transaction that can get a little crazy sometimes, the appraisal. So, what is the house really worth in the eyes of the appraiser? Here's how it goes is that the lender will only lend on the amount that the appraiser deems the house is worth. So, because there have been a bunch of changes in the past couple years with Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and Dodd-Frank, everything else that came out after 2008, appraisers are actually pretty scrutinized and they have a very hard job to do. We really appreciate all of our appraisers. So there are actually three different ways that appraisers approach reaching the value of a property, and sometimes they use a combination of these different techniques. So there's a cost approach, which is how much would it cost to build this particular property again today. So you look and see, the cost of materials and everything else, and what would it be to reproduce it. Another approach is the income approach, which they, base the value off of how much income the property can produce. And the most commonly used one that we see, at least as far as residential goes, is the comparable sales approach, which is looking at the comparable sales in a neighborhood and everything is adjusted in kind. So this property is a little bit nicer, this property is a little bit newer, what kind of updates have been done, what's the square footage, and they just adjust the price to try to make the subject property that they're trying to find the value for as comparable to the other properties that have sold that are as similar as possible. So if an appraisal comes back in above the purchase price, awesome, you have equity in your home. If it's at the purchase price, that's not a problem either, because the bank can still go ahead and move forward with that loan. Now, if an appraisal comes in low, basically you have to go back to the negotiating table, and buyers typically go to the seller and say, Mr. Seller, can you go ahead and adjust the purchase price down to the appraisal price so that we can make the banks happy or the lender happy and we can go ahead and move forward with the sale. Another option is that the seller can say, I don't really rely on this appraisal. I'm going to ask you, the buyer, to go ahead and bring the extra cash to the closing. So we're going to stick to our purchase price as agreed upon. The third option is to terminate the contract. Everybody parts ways and moves on. And that's why there's an appraisal contingency in our contract to allow that negotiation to happen within the specified time period. If there's anything I can help you with, or if you have other questions about this, by all means, feel free, send me a message, leave me a comment. I'd be more than happy to see how I can help you in the sale or buying of your next home. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend.